unconventional convention, unlike anything we've had in the television era. Conventions are typically the biggest television event of the summer. They get lots of primetime airtime. They get full-time coverage by the cable network. They're a big show, and there's a lot of events leading up to them. Normally, this would be all developed and all planned a year in advance. The cameras would be ready. The networks would be ready. That's not going to happen this year. We're not really exactly sure what's going to happen this year. I think the parties themselves aren't really sure, but it's not a normal year by any means. The networks have been diminishing their coverage of the convention steadily over the last few decades. There's still a fair amount of interest in them. There's not much else on television during the summer. So the conventions do get fairly reasonably good ratings, but the networks have gradually cut back on their amount of coverage. In 2016, they were giving about an hour each in prime time for the speeches. And the whole point of a convention is to be a showcase, to promote the party, to promote the nominee. It often gives the nominee a short, maybe temporary boost in the polls. And so, with all of the changes and all of the uncertainty around this, the real question is what kind of showcase is there going to be? The networks are going to cover the conventions to the extent that they can cover them, but that's typically now going to be something like what we're doing right here, which is a bunch of Zoom calls, a bunch of remote shots. It makes pretty terrible television. It's a fundamental problem for a president who loves spectacle, who loves the crowds, who loves the adulation of the crowds. He had the rally in Tulsa despite all the medical advice against it, and he would have preferred, obviously, to have an arena filled with cheering people. This campaign it's basically in some ways non-existent. It's certainly occurring, but at such a low level that it's really out of the mainstream eye. The Washington Post typically has dozens of reporters all around the country covering all of the events every single day. And there are no events really to cover. We do travel with the president from time to time, although that's often handled by a pool reporter now. At the same time, the campaign is usually the number one story leading up to the election. We've got a few other things going on right now that are bigger stories. So there's not only less to cover, there's more important stuff to cover. Campaign is a very visual and fast-moving event, and it's not that this year. And it looks very, very different than it has in the past.